This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, February 7th, 2007, and this is episode 215 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm your host, Matt Hodgeberg of MGMstudios.org. On the show today, we have Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome, Mike.
Hello. Wasn't ready for that.
That's a great intro, Mike.
I was drinking something and you caught me off guard.
Also on the show is Mike Scopa of, where are you from? Oh yeah, Mouse Planet.
Mickey and Sound weren't much in those early days, but their close relationship immediately became a Walt Disney trademark. With each new picture, they became more important to each other. Wow.
I have no idea.
We'll talk about it at the end of the show.
I wish we had someone who knew something about weird, oddball stuff. And also on today's show, Fred Block, eat your heart out, because on today's show we have Lou Mongello of DisneyWorldTrivia.com, and with Len not being here tonight, Lou, let me say something to you. Oh, Lou! Oh, Lou! It's so great to have Lou here. Lou's on the show. Oh my God, Lou! Oh, Lou!
Oh, Matt,
Welcome, Lou.
all I could say is kiss the cup.
Len couldn't be here tonight because I think he had to get a haircut. Is that right, Matt?
Something like that. Well, it's a listener question show, so we're answering yours. So if you have questions for us, email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. First one comes from Patrick from Long Island, who writes, "What's up, Bone Diddlies? This is Patrick from Long Island, just writing to tell you that your podcast may, just may, be the most glorious creation to ever grace this earth. You are all geniuses. I mean, come on, Len's scientists for Christ's sake. Not only in the field of Walt Disney World, but in the field of life. The joy you bring makes the song Shiny Happy People by R.E.M. all the more relevant in everyone's lives. Not only do you love Disney, but you seem like the kind of dudes who, if weren't spread all over the United States of America, would come hang out at my house and watch 24 hours of nonstop comedy a la Billy Madison, anything involving Steve Carell, Seinfeld, and naturally The Simpsons, and I'm sure Newell, a.k.a. Ramon, would reference Opie and Anthony more than a few times.
Ramon!
So I sincerely apologize for the long email. I'm just hoping to get some free stuff out of it. Basically, because all awesome podcasts give away free stuff, and your podcast is just the cat's pajamas. For serious. So free stuff? I have no questions for you, for I fear that if I had to ask a question, your answers would be so mind-blowing that I would explode. Hopefully, if and when we meet, we can go pick up serious Narcoosse's floozies. Peace out, fellow Disney fanatics, and all-around awesome individuals."
So what's the question?
He was hoping to get something out of it. I don't know. But we thank Patrick for that email. The next one actually comes from Mr. Voice. Now, for those listeners, we have some new listeners out there, like Lou, since he's got nothing better to do these days now. No job anymore. We have Mr. Voice, who does some voiceovers. And Newell, I think you've got a clip for some people to, get a clue.
No Regis Philbin, no Meredith Vieira, and nobody said that was a bad thing. WDW Today, DisneyWorldTrivia.com, and Mouse World Radio present Disney Whiz Lou Mongello and Who Wants to Earn Their Ears?
From one of our live episodes.
Yeah, so that's Mr. Voice. And Mr. Voice wrote in.
Mr. Voice!
Guys, your very own Mr. Voice here, with a question for our planned trip at the end of June. Neither myself nor my wife, Mrs. Voice, are that enamored with Animal Kingdom. We have never had a great experience there. It's always way too hot. There's so much walking that it feels like I'm on a scavenger hunt and not at a theme park. And it's expensive to enter, and the prizes weren't any good. So anyway, Mrs. Voice suggested we go to Animal Kingdom in the afternoon, say at 5 on a day it closes at 7, and stay through extra magic hours. Her reasoning is that the night is cooler than the daytime, that the crowds will be lesser than a normal morning, even though we're always there before park opening. Understand the only attractions that are must-sees are Expedition Everest. We tried to go on it last June, but it broke down twice. Once when I was in the Fast Pass line, 2 carloads away from the coaster. The new Nemo show, and, well, that's about it. We like some others, but nothing I will feel awful about missing. I know that on early shows, Scopa says something like, "Never go to Animal Kingdom Extra Magic Hours under any circumstances unless you wanted your Disney fan license revoked." But I'm wondering if that's changed.
Well,
I think Len's mentioned on an earlier show that in terms of extra magic hours, in terms of efficiency and what you're gaining and what have you, that Animal Kingdom is the worst because there's so few attractions that take advantage of.
There are so few attractions, and there's an overlay on those few attractions, so it limits you as to what you actually can enjoy during those 2 or 3 extra hours, because if you go to one, by the time you exit that attraction, one of the other 2 that you probably wanted to see has probably already started. For instance, example, if you get into the line for Everest, by the time you come out of Everest, you may have missed the only performance of Festival of the Lion King. That's one of the problems that I had.
Blue, what? Yeah, I don't know where you sit on this. Do you like Animal Kingdom?
I don't dislike Animal Kingdom. Put it that way. I think it's still, unfortunately, if you do it the right way, with your unofficial guide in hand, you can knock it out in a half a day, depending on to the ages of the people that are going. If your kids want to see every single show, you might take a little bit longer. But I'm a huge Everest fan. I love the Nemo show. Obviously, the safaris are the safaris. But after that and Festival of the Lion King, I could kind of take or leave some of the other attractions there.
Okay. Well, I think, Mr. Voice, you're probably better. I think if you want my advice, I would say go to the park at opening, be on hand for early opening, and be done with it, like the rest of us finish it by, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and then move on to somewhere else. I think
I agree.
I think that might be the best way to do it. Next email comes from Norman, who writes, "Hi, guys. Great show. I've been listening since the beginning, and I buy the guide every year."
That's two plugs already.
I know. And Lou's here. We haven't even plugged... Oh, Lou has a book. Which...
Yeah.
We'll
and I
plug
don't.
Norman writes, "I live in Scotland and come over here once or twice a year. This year we were just leaving as Food and Wine was getting started, so we missed it. Want to go next year before I book my vacation, can you tell me if the dates are always the same? By the way, just listened to your Vacation Homes podcast, and I must say that we have been in a villa on our last 8 trips, and there is no way that I would go back to a hotel room. Can I also point out that the villa owner will have insurance to cover any major damage to the villa, although the renter will pay a breakage deposit and be responsible for any breakages and smaller accidents. Strikes me, if you break a cup, might as well burn the place down to cover up." Keep up the good work. Don't they have the dates out for Food and Wine?
The 28th of September through November 11th is what I believe is going to be this year's beginning and ending dates for the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival.
Thank you, Mr. Scopa. Next email comes from Dale, who writes, "I've heard that arguments so many times about how certain rides do not fit Walt's vision of rides everyone can enjoy together. However, that's taking his saying a little too literal. With that argument, we would have to remove from the park Space Mountain, Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror, Splash Mountain, the Matterhorn, Star Tours, etc. I truly feel that Walt's intention was that children rides would be made for the entire family. Having some adult rides are fine as long as they don't start dominating the park." Next email is from Monique from Massachusetts, who writes, "I was one of the irritating cheerleaders over New Year's in 1997. Yes, we were annoying in that we took over the local pool at our area of the Caribbean beach most nights, but I found that in terms of the total size of the crowds, we were an extremely small proportion. Perhaps times have changed, but because of practice, etc., we were only able to spend about 4 out of the 7 days at the parks. Most people only went 3 days and used the 4th to attend the cheerleading party at Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular Pavilion. Due to practice, you could only go do that and only one other ride that night. We deemed that an utter waste, skipped the party, and went back to Disney on our last free day. Perhaps it's different at Pop Warner time, but when we were there, people were surprised to find that such well-behaved high schoolers without a constant chaperone. We received many compliments along those lines, as did many other troops. We were there to cheer at the Outback Bowl in Tampa, and perhaps the responsibility in live TV performance made us more responsible than our Pop Warner sisters. Just my 2 cents. Loved the show. I was thrilled to find 3 regular episodes plus a live show this week. And thanks for using my Magic Journeys question on air. That serenade made my day." What do we think?
Magic Journeys. Len was here.
Yeah. Lou, you got to join in.
Unlike Len, my prescriptions have not been filled as yet, so there'll be no singing from me.
It's got a private stock.
Yeah. Next email is from Jeffrey K. of Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, who writes, "Hi, we've got couple questions. What is the best way to get to Hoop-de-Doo for the 7:15 show? I will be staying at Coronado Springs and will have a rental car." Drive, right?
It depends upon what he's going to do afterwards. If he's planning to go to the Magic Kingdom, he might as well park at the TTC, take the launch from the front of the Magic Kingdom over to what used to be River Country or near at the Fort Wilderness dock, and after the show, go back to the Magic Kingdom. Otherwise, you might as well just park at the is it called the settlement or the depot? I forget what it's called. It's either called the depot or the settlement, where you park your car and then take the internal bus to what is it called? Pioneer Hall.
Right.
That's
Yeah, because it's
to get out.
Jeffrey also wants to know, will two adults with no kids look silly eating dinner at Chef Mickey's? Will Mickey still come to our table, or does he only go to tables with children? I want my picture with him.
He won't look silly.
Nope, they will. I mean, I've been there with Carolyn, and there have been a couple of like supervising cast members who have come over to our table and have asked us if the characters have visited us, and she said, you don't have to have children in order to get the characters here. She said, because you are paying for the characters.
Yeah, no, they'll come to you. I mean, that's not an issue at all, if
That's
anything.
it. And then there are those times when I just don't want a character near me because I want to just graze,
Moo.
Next email comes from Steve from Columbus, Ohio. Hi, guys. Love the show. It's just long enough to get me to work in the morning. Great job all around. I heard your discussion regarding which place has the best burger. Don't they all serve the same burger? I remember the first burger I ever had at Walt Disney World all the way back in 2005, Pecos Bills in the Magic Kingdom. I thought this was great. I'd never get this back home. Then I had the exact same burger at Cosmic Rays, and again at some other place, too. Is it just me? Don't get me wrong. They're all great, but aren't they all the same?
No.
Len?
I think there's something about Len. Yeah, I call Len Jr.
Len Lou.
I think there's something about the burgers at Pecos Bills. I think they're the best on property. I don't know if it's the Fixins Bar or just the whole atmosphere of the place, but that is a must-do for me every time I go.
Yeah, I think it is the Fixins Bar, Lou. It's just the ability to pile on as much condiments as physically possible without the bun falling off. And just, I mean, you can just go to town. There's some people, only put on, like, a pickle and a tomato, but those are for suckers. Real people pile on the mushrooms and the onions, and basically it's a glorified salad with beef somewhere mixed in there.
Can I actually clog my arteries before I leave the restaurant?
There you go. That's the real burger over there. But it's I mean, it's a good question. I'm trying to think now about the burgers I've had.
Beaches and Cream has some very good burgers.
Because I found, like, the example I'm trying to think of is at the Sci-Fi, which is, if you've listened to this podcast before, no doubt you've heard myself and Len claim it's a complete waste of money. And I've always found the burgers to be really subpar, certainly for the price. But I think Lou's right. There's something about those burgers, like at Pecos Bills and Backlot Express, I've also found to be really good. I don't know. There's just something there to it. Joe from Chicago writes, "Hey guys, love the podcast. I'll be at the World on the 29th of November. It's my daughter's first birthday and second time at the park. So any suggestions on how to make it a memorable day for her and the family?"
Well,
1-year-old. They're going to remember a whole lot from that, I'm sure.
1-year-old? Okay. I'll let Lou handle this.
I've taken my daughter. I took my daughter when she was about 9 months old, and of course everybody says, "Well, why are you taking them so young? They're not going to remember it, whatever." I still think they get a lot out of it, just as far as the kind of audio-visual stimulation. And if you've brainwashed your kids the way I have since birth, plopping them in front of Playhouse Disney all day,
Brainwashing them, putting their faces on the covers of your books,
like Disney or else, basically. But you can make it special for yourself too by just plopping the kid with a character, or if it's time for their first haircut, different things like that. Certainly they're not going to remember anything, but it's really more for you.
I like the character idea, Lou. I think if you find a character that they can connect with, and want to go hug and kind of get all excited about, I mean, that can really just that's worth it right there. It's not like someone who's older who needs like kind of an all-day thing or something like really, really magical. It can be something like more low-key like that. But for a kid, that can make their day. It's that, and then it's poop in the diaper and go to bed.
I mean, for us too, we made a big deal out of what ride we took them on first, and of course we took my daughter on Pirates and she fell asleep. So
there you go. We've got time, I think, for one more email. He writes, "My hubby and I are headed to Disney." Oh, this is from Yeti Bug of Seattle, Washington. Whereas my hubby and I are going to Disney World from February 9th to February 19th. I have a couple questions I hope someone can answer. I'm trying to figure out what kind of clothes to pack. Is it warm during the day, say shorts weather, and then cooler at night, like jeans and a sweatshirt? I've always found February and January are like the weirdest months in terms of weather, and December also. I mean, they can sometimes be really warm and then sometimes really cold.
I can tell you that there was a difference of 30 to 35 degrees between this year's half marathon start and last year's half marathon start. It was 70 when we started this year. It was 39 when we started last year. So you never know. That's this January and February are the cruelest months to go down there because you just never know.
You know, I love going to the parks in February, especially really beginning of February, not during the President's Week. I mean, that's suicide almost. But I like when the weather can be kind of iffy, but the extremely low crowds make up for it in my mind. I just enjoy being able to get down there and not having to worry about lines or anything like that. And that's what really does it for me more than anything. It's but I would say the best thing to do is to probably check your weather about a week before and kind of get an idea of what you're going to look for. More than likely, the afternoons will be kind of warm. I would say it's going to be jean weather, and you might be able to, slip into a t-shirt on some afternoons. But certainly when you're at any of the nighttime shows, I think you're going to have to be wearing at least a sweater, I would think.
Yeah, I wear shorts.
Yeah, Scopa goes, if he's in Florida, it doesn't matter what the temperature is outside, Mike is going to be wearing shorts.
I always found it odd that we always complain about the heat in Florida, and that I've gone to events at night in the Magic Kingdom, and they're selling fleece hats and mittens on the carts.
Okay, for those of you who are still wondering what that podcast opening was, let me read it one more time. It goes like this. Mickey and Sound weren't much in those early days, but their close relationship immediately became a Walt Disney trademark. With each new picture, they became more important to each other.
Can I venture a guess?
Go ahead, Lou. Sure.
Is it the Walt Disney story?
No, that would have been my guess if I didn't know what the real answer was.
Okay, edit that out because now I've lost all credibility and
It is an attraction that is no longer in Walt Disney World. It is over in, I believe, Tokyo right now. It is known as Mickey Mouse Revue. It was housed in the same building that now houses Mickey's PhilharMagic, and that quote was from the narration that begins the show.
All right. Well, that's it for us today. If you want to find older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at wdwtoday.com.
Hey Matt, hold it.
Oh yeah,
while we have Lou here, I think we should ask him. What's new, Lou?
What's new? Oh, not much. What's up with you guys? Same old.
We want an exclusive here.
Yeah. Come on. Well, Lou, you're about to announce that you're joining our podcast full time, right?
That's right. Your checks are cleared, and I've done the TRWs on all of you, so I'm in. No, it's been an interesting couple of days. By the time this comes out, you may or may not have heard that that other podcast that I was doing, Mouse Tunes, is no more.
We win. He capitulated. He came over, he laid it down, and he said, "You guys are better than me." I think Newell has a clip of that somewhere.
I told you that cheerleader would work.
Blackmail. It's got so many benefits.
It was those pictures of me and Fred Block that got out there.
Yeah, I don't know what Fred's going to do now, Lou. Although you do have a sort of a mini announcement, don't you?
A mini announcement, yeah. Although all good things come to an end. This is not the end because I do have other projects on the horizons. One of which is a new podcast that I'm going to be starting in the next week or two, and that's going to be over at wdwradio.com. It's going to be really a Walt Disney World focused show, and there's going to be a lot of the same features that I had on Mouse Tunes, as well as a lot of new stuff and news and rumors and trivia and interviews and all kinds of stuff like that. So look for it, like I said, in another week or two over at wdwradio.com.
You know what the kiss of death was for Mouse Tunes, Lou?
I know what it was. Having Len on.
Having Len on. You brought him on, and look what happened. It went downhill from there.
I think I was just so exhausted because when I interviewed Len, the 15-minute interview that I planned on doing took 3.5 hours. So when I had to edit that down for the show, I never really recovered after that.
Yeah, no, that's what we do. We just, when Len comes on, we just put ourselves on mute, put our headsets down, and we come back in about an hour, and Len's usually wrapping up. Well, if you want to visit, Lou does have a few books and a website out, DisneyWorldTrivia.com, which will have links to his books and all the stuff that you can support Lou's all his habits.
Good luck, Lou.
Yeah, good luck with
I appreciate it.
Good luck with the new podcast.
Thank you very much.
For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, Mike Newell, and Lou Mongello, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
That's the end of my show. Donk.